Twitter with the hashtag IGNPlaysLive. You can tweet there. You can also go to Facebook or IGN.com, pretty much everywhere, and shoot me a question, and I will transfer it to them.
Yeah, so we're right at the very beginning of the game, like Raph said, so we don't have really anything. We just broke out of this sort of lab. We're still in part of the lab, and all we have right now is a wrench. And so this is the very introduction to the game.
And this is on a space station called Talos 1, the history of which is a bit mysterious.
Right.
I gather.
It is mysterious. You start, it's a hostile environment. You want to survive and escape. And so you meet these creatures that are a little everywhere now in your new world. Here you see them multiply.
So these are mimics.
And so mostly you just have to survive any way you can and try to escape. And you have this contact, this is called January, which actually helped you escape in the first place. You don't quite know who she is, and now she's telling you to go in your office. So you realize that you have an office in this place to try to find out more about the story.
Finding a mimic here.
It's gonna kill me.
The first time I saw a mimic, I wondered how it would go about killing a person, but we just saw a absolutely terrible death.
Yeah, and the scary thing about mimics is they have the ability to disguise themselves as objects in the environment. So you saw over here in this case, there were 3 shoes on the ground, which is, that's a tell that
that's great.
One of those guys is a mimic.
And from what I understand, the abilities that you're able to gather a bit later in the game, you can learn from the aliens that you encounter. And of course, being able to mimic an object is one of those.
Right, yeah. At some point in the game, so maybe about 2 hours in the game, you find an object called a psychoscope, and which allows you to scan and acquire abilities from the aliens. And so mimic is one of them.
Yeah, and this game also is, it's true to Arkane in that there's always more than one way to do things. So this is, at the beginning of the game, we're trying to teach you about things. So like right here, it's like, hey, there's a locked door. You can go find the key card, but that's not the only way. There's also a vent shaft that you could like climb up and crawl through if you wanted to. And then as the game progresses, even more and more options open up. So it's up to the player how they want to do things.
Sure.
So should we get the key card or crawl through the vent shaft?
I like the idea of crawling through a vent shaft. That sounds terrifying. That sounds right in line with the sci-fi horror.
Just gonna snoop around a little bit. See, anytime you see 2 of anything, it's like.
Is it real or?
See, okay, come on now.
2 trash cans.
That guy was a little obvious.
Hey,
there.
I have two trash cans on my desk. That coffee cup on that desk.
No.
Oh wow.
Okay. Who was he? I bet he was one of these stools.
So you guys must know.
No,
No, we don't.
It's
I mean,
not
in this
scripted.
case, it was obvious.
Oh wow.
Too, yeah.
Yeah, it's not scripted. The AI, it's just part of the AI's behavior. To anytime they go into a room, they can they have a set of rules that says as long as it's bigger than a coffee cup but smaller than a chair, they can pick any object in the room.
Wow, a little bit of prop hunt there.
Exactly.
An old mod that I used to play.
Yeah, a lot of people say that when they see this. Yeah, it sounds cool.
But that's fantastic to hear that it's not scripted in the sense that adds to the replayability and you'll never be quite comfortable.
Exactly.
In a room
That's
with
why
multiple objects.
it's fun for us as the developers to play because it's always.
And there are some funny things that can happen. And technically, if you drop an object in the room, it might actually turn into that as well.
I feel like it would be kind of fun to have a pet mimic if it didn't try and kill you.
Yeah, exactly. If it didn't try and strangle you, that'd be awesome.
Fun jokes to your friend.
So we were talking about play the way you want and these alternate paths, and I had a question about exploration. Ooh, that's very mysterious in there.
That's called a phantom.
Or a bunch of question marks right now.
Yeah.
So can you completely deviate from the mission and just choose to explore at some point if you've decided not to pursue the mission anymore?
Yeah, that's really the game for that. Actually, you have the main line, and you probably have just as much content almost that is optional and that is about your own exploration. And so you can totally deviate from the main story and go to some places that you're meant to go only later. and go to those places immediately. Right? So you might have a chance to find a better weapon, or have your ass kicked because it might be just too hard.
So this here's one of our signature weapons, the glue cannon, which we've showed off in some of the trailers. It started out as like a scientific instrument, a sort of like a way to restrain the test subjects or aliens. It's like this, it sprays out this really cool foam, but players figure out other ways to use it. You can stop, you can extinguish flames, you can build little platforms with it, which I'll show off in a second.
You can even kind of create your own paths.
Yeah. All right.
Oh boy.
More mimics.
So there's a little bit of a HUD element there, telling you when a mimic walked past the wall, but it seems to fade.
Yeah, it's like an awareness meter. It gives you like if you're trying to play stealthy, it tells you, see, that looks suspicious. What's going on?
Is that a hoverboard? What is that? Or is that
It's
a
just
dumbbell?
it's like a. It looks like an ashtray.
It's an ashtray.
So you can actually use this as a weapon in addition to the
so now I
other
can take these guys down
kind of
with the
logistical
frozen.
uses.
And the aliens are the mimics are easy to kill if you can lock them down, but a lot of the aliens are really really lethal and hard, and so like locking them down with the glue beforehand helps a lot.
And then we saw a stamina bar there, and you're running out of stamina. So if
Exactly.
you kind of revert to melee, that's not something you can necessarily spam over and over. But of course, there are ways to upgrade your character. Can you talk to me about, obviously, the ability progression is one, but are there other progression systems? How much of this game carries over RPG elements?
Yeah, so there are abilities, and we'll show this in a second.
Yeah, that's a
where
really good segue. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about
The
neuromod over
neuromod,
here.
there it is. Look at that.
But you know what? Let me. I saw this guy turn into an ashtray over here.
Yeah.
I don't want him to like stab us in the back while we're upgrading ourselves. I see you.
Maybe this is this is an unnatural response for me to have, but I feel as though the mimics are somewhat lovable. Personally, I don't often feel that way about any video game character, but they just have such personality, turning into various things.
I think it's true until they kill you twice or thrice, and then you're like,
You're like, I
maybe
hate
don't
these
like them
guys.
so much.
Sure.
So this is the neuromod. The neuromod is actually a device that is developed on board of this space station. We try to link everything together, so it really, it makes a cohesive world. And so with these neuromods, you can actually acquire abilities, new stuff, and we'll see how you do that. So here there are the three trees, really: the scientist, the engineer, and the security tree. Those are actually mapped to the characters that you would find on board of this station. And so that's only half, actually, of the abilities that you can have in this game, because the other half will come from aliens later, as we mentioned at the beginning of this demo. So you see that there are another 3 additional trees that could
A little
actually
bit of HUD space.
open at
What
some
should we
point.
pick this time?
How about we do the hacking thing this time?
Okay.
This way we can go into
The security booth?
The security booth.
So this is interesting because instead of giving the player a tool at an exact time to then have them walk to some area they've already explored and unlock a door, Metroidvania style, you were allowing them to choose as they go, and so maybe there will be some areas that will be unexplorable because you can't lift the object there, or
Exactly.
because you can't hack your way through a door. And that's interesting. I guess
Yeah,
that really
I'll
speaks to the way that you want to play.
I can show you. Oh, here we go. This
That looks
is,
awful.
This is how you install upgrades to your mind in the future.
Wouldn't you put it up to your eye and then press the button so you didn't have to ease it into your eye? I don't know. I don't think.
They've tried a lot of other ways to give you those powers in this station, but that's the,
This was found to be the most effective.
Yeah, that's the one
means.
that people prefer.
It's a good example, like you mentioned. This guy. Trap back here.
He's super pesky. There we go.
So you mentioned, being able to lift objects out of the way. If I had taken the leverage ability, like, see, to escape the mimics, someone barricaded themselves into this bathroom. It probably didn't work by the blood I can see there, but I can't get in there because I don't have the leverage ability. So if I'd picked the leverage ability, I could lift this sucker out of the way and get in there. But I'm gonna. Actually, let's go into the security booth here. Since we got hacking, I can see there's some goodies in there that I might want to grab.
Look at that.
So
All right, while you're doing that, I'm going to relay our first question from Twitter, and yes, I am monitoring all of the chats, Twitch chat as well as YouTube chat. When you ask a question, I will use my body as a conduit to express your questions to the developers. We have a question here from Potato King, or now Horizon Zero Tato, as everybody is doing that on Twitter. Does Prey have an equivalent to Bone Charms from Dishonored? This game looks ridiculously awesome, by the way.
Well, thank you. Yes, there is actually. You know, you were asking earlier the different type of upgrades that the player can acquire, and so far we showed the abilities, but there's also something called the chipsets that we could actually open the screen.
Yeah, we haven't found one yet, but we
Yeah.
can show you where they go. So first, you know, we have a inventory grid right here that you starts with a smaller set, but you can upgrade it to pick up more things.
And so here are the chipsets, and the chipsets are actually, and there are two kind of chipsets: the scope and the suit. And so at first you only have the suit ones, and they are the equivalent of Bonchon, which is like small perks that small modifiers that can actually accumulate, so that you can combine them together. And there are more chipsets in the game than there are in one playthrough, so you will never see them all at the same time.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting.
So I'm going to show off an example of using the glue gun to find a way up to this second balcony, because typically the way I'd go is I'd use this little gravity lift over here, but it's broken. And if I had taken the repair skill, I could fix this and then use it, but instead I'm going to sacrifice some of my glue ammo to get up there.
And by the way, here what we're doing is we're really, you know, some people have shown the first hour of gameplay in the past, and here we're showing like all the other areas that people haven't seen, even though it was available to the.
I just made myself a little stairway.
Wow, nice.
See all those, all those are areas that are in addition to the main path, of course.
Now talk to me about ammo. I was watching one of your developer diaries or video previews, and you picked up a pistol and a shotgun, and you mentioned that ammo is a scarce commodity, or finding weapons in general is a scarce commodity. Is this the kind of game that you're going to be able to blast your way through entirely, or will you have kind of feast and famine periods, and use other abilities?
Yeah, so it is a game where resource is very important, and so some level of scarcity is to be expected, because it brings the tension that I think is needed for this kind of games. So you have to be careful. At some point, though, if you really organize your entire playstyle around upgrading anything that is related to gun and to modifying guns, then you can pretty much play it as a shooter. And then if when you fabricate objects, if all you fabricate are ammo for those guns, then at this point you're telling the game, hey, you know, I'm playing this game pretty much like a shooter.
Sure.
And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
So I just, because I used the glue gun to climb up here, I got access to a new weapon called the Disruptor Stun Gun. And if I hadn't done that, I could find it somewhere else in the space station, but I'm going to have this weapon a lot earlier than another player might, just because of the path that I decided to take. Try not to fall to my death.
We have a question here from Slimmy Sick, who wants to know if there are secret locations with loot. We just saw one.
Yep.
So that's an example
Absolutely.
of kind of knowing where something is and using the abilities that you've gathered to go an unconventional route and acquire something cool.
And occasionally, you know, most of the people on the space station are dead, but the fact is the disaster just happened. And so you'll still find some survivors. This guy, of course, is dead. But when you find dead people, you'll pick up their transcribes, which you're carrying one too. But the neat thing is it's not just an audio diary. It's not like the guy talking like, "Dear diary, today I got killed by an alien." It's a little it's a little more interesting than that.
The weirdest message.
Yeah, I think I'm about to die. It's actually it has the last conversation the person had with somebody else. So it's a little more, it gives you a little more backstory.
And I don't know if you noticed, but when Ricardo was with the body, there you could see the name of the corpse. Every employee actually has a real name
Sure.
on board of the space station. So, and you can find all of them.
So what we found out from that was that Alice Aiken may still be alive.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. And we'll show off something in a second that's really cool. But the space station has security rosters that has every single employee on the space station listed. And so we could look up Alice Aiken's name and find out like what her life signs are and where she's located. And it's not required, but if that's what you want to do, you can like try to track down everybody in the game.
And that plays into the mission system, I assume, as well. Like,
Yeah.
I assume you'll get missions where you have to track
yes,
down.
Yes, there's a few where we use that as a system.
Gonna eat some food.
We had a question here from Everett Barslow, who wanted to know if you can fight bosses or if there are bosses in the game.
So, you know, there's never really games at Arkane. We never really have the concept of bosses in a way that it's never like in a room where it's you're sealed and then you have to find the pattern to kill the boss, like Zelda style. So that is not really our culture, but there are some AIs that are much bigger and much more dangerous than others, and you meet them occasionally. But they're always AI, so they're always systemic. They always work in any context, really. But one of them that we can mention is the Nightmare. The Nightmare is about 12 meters tall, so it's really big in this, and it hunts you, and so that's pretty much a boss. I mean, definitely.
Yep. And it's totally systemic. Like there are things that you can do that trigger its appearance.
You need to get to your office. I've updated your map. There's a video you need to see. I know you have a lot of questions.
I love a little detail, but I love the ammo counter, the way it's displayed and kind of seems
On
to
the side
be
of the shotgun.
hacked into the side of the shotgun.
Yeah.
You know, a very ancient weapon, but a cool new take on figuring out how much ammo you have. How much of the HUD do you try and keep on screen or in game as opposed to secondary layer?
We do that when it feels right. You know, we used to be very obsessed with the HUD should be super minimal, and we've changed our mind a little bit of that. I think players like clarity more than they need the HUD to be minimalist. So we are as clear as we need to be, basically. But then sometimes, like in the case of a gun, it feels right. It's elegant to put the ammo count like this.
Great. And then we just saw, what was the Phantom?
That's a Phantom. Yeah.
Got it.
That's the first Phantom
Oh.
fight that we're gonna have. And so
Coming your
there's a
way.
stealth system, as you can tell. He hasn't detected you yet. So now he is
Oh
detected.
yes. now I'm panicking.
So you can use stealth to your advantage. If you attack them as they haven't seen you yet, then you have deal more damage. Which is also one of the branch you could want to
You know what?
to explore in your character upgrade system, where you're all about stealth, for example.
There you go. Nice. 1-2 punch.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And now you are down to 2 shells.
Yep.
In your shotgun. So that was a pretty significant use of your resources there. Let's take a question from Blood 5 something, a bunch of numbers. Is the save system as flexible as Dishonored's to encourage experimentation?
Is what system?
The save system.
Oh, the save system. Yes, you can save anytime, pretty much. I mean, there are situations where you can't save, I think.
Yeah, I
In
think
the middle of combat or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
But yeah, for the most part, it's
yeah.
save anywhere.
Yeah, it's very comparable to Dishonored.
Oh, look at this cool history.
Yeah, it's like some players really get into the world building and the lore of the game, and so this is just a cool little example of. There's a museum on the space station that, if you want, kind of tells you the backstory, because our game is built on like an alternate history where like Kennedy survived, and therefore space technology is way more advanced than it would be in our world.
Interesting.
Yeah, the world is much bigger than the game here. So and for us, it's we create those deep worlds with a lot of background, and players don't have to know anything about it, but they feel it though. So it feels very very deep, and that's important to us. And some of them will want to dig. Some of them will want to see some notes and emails and try to know everything they can about this world.
You see, something I did there is I got ambushed by like 4 or 5 mimics there. But there are these turrets that you can find around the station. They're these defensive turrets, and they identify anything that has alien materials and will attack it. And you can pick these turrets up and situate them in places wherever you want, like if you know some aliens are coming down the hall, you can. Oh crap! Speaking of, of course, this guy is gonna knock my turret down. Watch. Or yeah, there we go. Good job, turret.
Nice.
But they get damaged, and you can repair them, and so. But I don't have repair, so like if this thing gets broken, then it's over for me.
Sure.
But that's a player upgrade path that you can decide to invest in. Is like being the turret lord.
The turret lord.
That's right.
It was named after a player, a tester that actually was overusing the turrets in any way he could.
Turret lord. All right, let's keep taking some questions here. Rotten Sixes on Twitch would like to know if there is any weapon crafting.
There isn't weapon crafting per se. You can fabricate weapons, but that's part of the fabricator system, recycle system. So it's not quite an answer to this question. You can actually upgrade your weapons, though. So
Yeah, let's show that because we got that weapon upgrade kit from the security booth earlier,
Yeah.
and now we actually have a weapon, so we can do the shotgun, I guess. So every weapon has a different set of stats that you can upgrade, and anyone can upgrade the first tier of upgrades on a weapon. But if you want to go further than that, then you have to invest in like security abilities, for instance, like the firearms or the weaponsmith ability.
yeah, I was thinking we never showed the map before. Maybe that's something we can show.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
So we have not a map where it shows you what you've seen and what you haven't seen yet.
It has a little bit of a fog of war.
Cool. Are any of the weapon upgrades visualized on the weapon after a certain tier, or is it just felt in gameplay only?
It's a gameplay.
Yeah, it's all stat based.
Cool.
Something else that's cool is you'll notice I've been looting stuff off the actual mimic bodies themselves. You can harvest their organs, and then if you can, that's another skill tree you can invest in. There's a skill called necropsy that lets you take out even more organs, and those then become the key ingredients in fabricating neuromods and other cool gadgets. Let's see if we can get into this security office. So we're in the lobby of the space station, and our objective is to get to. We just found out that we're on a space station, that we were trapped in some kind of experiment, but we don't know why. We don't know what we're doing here in the first place. But our mission is to get to an office that is apparently our own office, because we just found out we've been here a lot longer than we think. But I could race to my office and watch this video that I left for myself, or I can. There's tons and tons of space to explore here.
If you wanted, well, I mean, I guess there's stairs right there, so I feel like that would be a poor use of your ammo. But I was going to say, could you just...
Yeah,
you could just glue gun your way up there.
Yep. Yeah, it's, we encourage players to do things we haven't really planned.
Cody Gullidge on Twitter would like to know, will this game have any connections to the original?
No.
Okay. And in that same vein, I guess since we're talking about that, something that is brought up a lot when I talk to friends about this game is a question about the name, and if anything, in terms of the mantras of the original, like bounty hunting, have carried over from the first one. And maybe this is me kind of imprinting my own meaning on it, but the roster system seemed to at least allude to the idea of hunting down somebody in a station and finding out where they are. And I, obviously can't speak to that, but do you have anything to say in that?
No, it is pure coincidence, because the roster system came as part of the building of our world and the cohesion of our world. So yeah, we really treated this game as a new IP. It's a pure restart.
Cool. All right, we just saw you using your hacking skill there?
No, I didn't have a high enough hack skill to open that safe, but there was a clue in the world in this character's office that had the code hidden in it. So,
boy, these things are cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Recycler charges are super fun because they have lots of different uses.
Yeah, maybe we should show the recycler before we explain about the recycler
good idea.
charge.
You want to go to the office?
Yeah, let's do that. Actually, there is a recycler. Just
Oh yeah. Okay, let's do that.
Yeah. I wonder as well if we should show the other access, because like we know where we have to go, right? But since they were asking how much we can go away from the main path, it might be worth showing that there is the access to cargo bay over there, shuttle bay.
The shuttle bay?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Do you want you mentioned the roster system?
Sure,
on
sure.
Really quick. This is what we were talking about earlier.
Oh yeah, that's what we were talking about, the roster system. So here you have pretty much every employee of the station.
So let's see. We were. Was it Alice Aiken?
Yep.
She
That
was
was
in
her.
Sim Labs.
Is that her name? Well, she works in the Neuromod division. There she goes. Oh, no life science.
Okay. So everybody involved in that conversation, as far as we can tell, is dead.
Yeah. Who was the other guy? Robert Gage.
Well, he was
We
definitely
found
dead.
his body. We know. We know he's dead.
But if you click on one of them, then it creates another objective. You will see a marker in the world now.
Yeah. Like so, if
Phenomenal.
I click on Caleb Hawthorne, it's like, okay, now I have my own side quest that I created to find Caleb Hawthorne. It says he's alive, but he's in the crew quarters, which is we can't access yet because we don't have access to the elevator.
Sure. Cool. Another question here. Is one of you a mimic? No, but
One
one
of
of
us?
our water bottles is,
That's
and I
right.
haven't told the developers which. So we'll be finding that out a
I've
bit
been
later.
drinking this for a while, so.
Not sure how that'll affect your health, but
Okay, so where did you want to go?
Yeah, I
Raf?
was just gonna point at the fact that there's the elevator,
Ah, there's this guy. I knew this guy
the
was
shuttle
looking
bay.
There we go.
we were talking about the HUD a little bit before, and how your primary goal is properly communicating mechanics to the player. We had a question about it from Creasars1 on Twitch, who would like to know, can you turn off any HUD elements like the crosshairs, awareness meter, and so on?
So we're not fully done with the PC options, etc. But you can't. No, you can't turn everything off. But it's unclear yet what we'll be able to, how much we'll be able to customize that on PC.
Sure.
Yeah.
You
so
want to go to the recycler?
yeah, I just wanted to mention briefly. So that's the main path. But then you see that the shuttle bay here. So that's an entire new level over there that you might have access at some point once you've done something.
Got it.
Then there's the elevator in the center of the room, which is also another thing that you can fix, and then you can access to other areas. In fact, if you look into space itself, there are all those areas, and you can at some point fly in 0G outside. And so this is like a big, in a way, it's an open world game. We call it an open space station, but it's all contiguous, and you can go outside and then see the same thing.
Interesting.
See what I mean? It's like one big space.
Yeah, it's not like what we're looking at out there is not a fake backdrop. We can once we find the airlock and have access to it, like we can go outside there and explore that explosion that we saw earlier.
Right. So it's not mission based like like we had in Dishonored. This is more like one world. Okay, let's show the recycler then on just upstairs.
Guys, and I don't want to go in there yet.
Yeah.
Just want to remind everybody watching at home that you can tweet at IGN with the hashtag IGNPlaysLive and ask us your questions. I will transfer them to the developers, who've been very gracious in their answers so far. So we're gonna try and keep that up. Is that a clock to your left?
This guy?
No.
No. Okay. All right.
Van.
I was like, that's a very interesting place to have a clock. I can't imagine that would get viewed very much. So the mimics aren't always hiding. Sometimes they're
No.
just patrolling, or you
Yeah.
kind of catch them by surprise.
Sometimes they're just snooping around. Like if you actually are being stealthy and you're spying, you'll see them like poking things and mimicking things. It's fun.
Interesting. Starting to feel bad about killing them.
Aha.
Oh, I mean, that was
That was-
as obvious
Yeah,
as it
see,
gets.
busted, right? Since we have the drop on them,
How will you dispatch them?
I'm gonna let you unmimic.
So now they're forever locked in that.
Yep.
You're going to shatter them. Oh, he made it out just barely, though.
I think I got the right one.
Yeah, that was
Let's
definitely
find out. There you go.
Nice. Nice. A little creativity in your violence. I always appreciate that.
So this is the recycler we were talking about. So in the game, as part of our world, there are those recyclers. You can bring all your the junk items you find, or you can
Baseball
also
gloves.
yeah, baseball gloves, or any object that you don't care for right now, like the O2 bottles, for example. And you can recycle them. And so recycling them means that this machine will actually yield some ingredients, recycled elements. And there are 4 of them, 4 types.
Oh, that's
And to answer
awesome.
to one other the other question you had about like how much we like to integrate the HUD in the world, so that's a good example where we think it's more elegant this way because it's more like it's part of it's an object as opposed
Sure.
to be like an abstract screen.
Right.
So it feels more connected, feels more physical.
It's very immersive, the fact that you're throwing stuff in and then physically getting objects coming out of it that you're using to then.
Yeah. And those objects themselves can be mimicked. I mean, you see what I mean? It's all like
Right.
big simulation, really.
Right.
So
I was eating some food from the fridge. I accidentally drank a bottle of vodka.
oh,
I think.
okay.
You're a little tipsy now.
I'm a little tipsy now. You know, actually, there are a couple aliens that they have like a fear ability, which like disorients you and like messes with your controls.
But if you're hammered enough,
But if you down some of the different bottles on the station, it'll cancel the fear.
that's hilarious.
Liquid courage.
One of my favorite like little quirks about game design is seeing, because becoming intoxicated is something that transcends quite a few games. I feel like there's a video feature here to be had, but I'm always curious to see how long the effect lasts. I remember the first time that I ever saw
brief
it.
in a video game.
I think in World of Warcraft, it lasts like 5 minutes. You just have to AFK because it's like I can't play.
No.
Anyway. Man, these people are just dying horrible deaths.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, we were inspired by the movie The Ring. You know when you
Sure.
see the Ring.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Yeah.
that face, it was
Should,
one of the inspiration.
Should we go check out the office and the fabricator?
Yeah.
So far?
Just see the fabricator then.
There's another friendly turret.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, and so to finish with the recycler, then there's also the portable version, which is called the recycle charge. So
Yeah, this guy. We should go.
that thing, you could actually recycle the room with it, and it works on aliens as well or yourself. Because, if you're in the middle, you will die. And so it's a cool mechanic because it absorbs
let's go.
everything and then transforms into
Crafting materials?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. Okay, so it's got a use
I'm gonna
beyond just
go-
being like a grenade.
exactly. In fact, it's more like the opposite. It's like it has a
Right.
use, and players will use it as a grenade because hey, guess what? It's a game. And you need that.
Sure.
But initially, it was justified as a utilitarian.
I remember there's a room up here.
Oh yeah, with some stuff.
Going went the right way. That was barricaded.
We have a question here from Viv, who I would like. It's something we've already answered, but I just want to go over because I think it's surprising and cool. He would like to know if the game is fully scripted and all the mimics are predetermined. They are not.
No,
We found that out earlier that they are kind of have a mind of their own.
there's a few at the beginning so that we ease players into the system, but then eventually they redo their own thing. So here we're gonna show the recycle grenade, the way it works. Recycle charge.
We really want to get into this human resources office. So we're going to chunk... I don't have the leverage ability, but with a recycler grenade, I can...
More than one way in.
That's right.
It's nice. It's that's like the perfect tool for just cleaning up your apartment.
Exactly.
Right? And it leaves behind resources I can pick up.
So yeah, we've seen players doing things such as pushing all the physics of in the same corner and then recycling, obtaining so much recycling elements and going to the fabricators, making tons of ammo. So you can do these kind
Wow.
of things. Right?
Wow, that's so cool.
Right. It kind of breaks the game a little, but at the same time, it's not. It's just simulated. So.
Sure. Well, I think there's something to be said for rewarding somebody who's that crafty.
Exactly, because it takes work.
Sure.
All right, here we go. I think there's a yeah. So we talked about suit chipsets earlier. So I just found one.
Great. Shielding decreases the effects of EMP damage on your suit and weapons, and that's a specific damage type.
Yeah. So some aliens have the ability to basically shut down. Like when you're flying in 0G, they can hit you with an EMP blast, and suddenly you won't have any flight controls.
Oh.
And the weapon, the glue gun, will stop functioning for like 3 or 4 seconds if you get hit with an EMP. So this will negate some of that.
Can you talk to me about? We see it's 19.4 gigahertz there. What is that? What resource is that consuming? Or
the chipsets only they basically just take a slot. That's the only thing that's required.
oh, okay.
Some
That's
of
just a little extra.
Just a little flavor.
All right.
you know?
I assumed mechanics. That's funny.
Something 21.1 gigawatts or something like that.
That would be a lot.
Can you talk to me about lighting and tone. Obviously, the entire thing is taking place on and outside of a space station, so there are going to be these kind of continuing mantras in terms of the aesthetics and design. But I assume you would want to have some different environments in your game and different feels. So are there parts of the space station that are kind of more derelict and you need to use your flashlight and things like that?
Yeah. So first of all, if you look at the sun, it's actually dynamic. It's moving.
Yeah, the space station is spinning.
Yeah, so
Wow.
It's orbiting the moon and spinning, so you get
It's so cool.
Since you were asking about the lighting.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, we have, of course, it was very important for us to have a lot of variety because it's a space station, but it's not your standard space station, just hallways and small rooms. It's actually one of those really cool high-tech corporation with tons of money, and they want to expose it, and so it's what one of those big high-tech company would do if they were able to build something in space, right? So they would try to attract a lot of employees, the best in the world. So you would find places that are really fun for the employees. You would find so at the top, for example, there's something called the Arboretum, which is actually more like it's a park. It's a park. There are plants, and you can see a huge dome where the sun goes through, and it feels almost like being in a forest in a way. So yeah, you'll find a lot of variety.
This person
Fantastic.
naughty. They put their
Oh,
password
man.
on a sticky note.
That's bad news. Never do that. Though I guess it's better than putting it in your phone. All right. Oh, a bunch of questions pouring in on Twitter here. We're going to take one from the...
Sure.
Oh, look at this. He changed his name. The Potato King instead of Potato King. Are there going to be different difficulties, and what will be the differences between those difficulty settings?
Yes, right now we're playing in easy, by the way, which explains why Ricardo is still not dead.
I almost died.
And so it's mostly about how much damage you deal, how much damage you take, how much points that a medkit would heal. Those are the most parameters that we use.
Cool.
So yeah, I think it does. Just on that, also it also changes the value of like anything that's beneficial. So like medkits and psi-hypos and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of questions about the current platform that we're playing on have been asked. I feel a need to take it or leave it.
What we're
You guys wanna
playing
answer that?
on?
So
Yeah.
well, it's a Game Boy.
Yeah.
It's impressed. Like there
Yeah.
are all of these cords feeding straight into a Game Boy Color.
That's right. This
from
Xbox
98.
controller is
Really good optimization.
Yeah, so that's a PC right now. I'm not sure what exactly it is.
Cool. And the platforms the game will be releasing on.
PS4, Xbox, PC.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah, so some of you may have noticed that I picked up a key over here that said Morgan Hughes cabin or something like that. This, like Raph was saying, that it's one big space station, everything's interconnected. So, and we on that computer we saw that there's a place called the crew quarters. So that means, hey, I have a room somewhere on the space station, just like I have an office. So later in the game, when we do get to the crew quarters, if I picked up this key, I'll be able to get into my room and find out more clues about my past. But other characters also have their room keys on them, so it's really all that stuff is just optional, like side content. Like, hey, I looked on the computer, looked up somebody like we did earlier, like Alice Aiken. I tracked them down. They had some cool loot on their body. I had that room key. And then later I go to the crew facilities, and now I'm able to break into their room and maybe find some other cool stuff.
Wow.
So this is the Fabricator.
Fabricator is basically a giant 3D printer of the future, where if you have the fabrication plans, you can pretty much create any of the items that you can find in the game.
Great.
And for the sake of simulation, including things that you might never need, like a second wrench, for example.
Sure.
In this case, though, you probably will want to create more glue canister or more shotgun shells. And as you click on the...
I forgot how many. Let's make shotgun shells. I don't have very many.
Okay, and as you click on the plan over there, it tells you how many ingredients you need and what type.
Great. And that's stuff that you've been getting from the recycler and recycler charge
Yep.
and things like that.
So
Oh,
if
and
you
you plug them
place
in,
them-
and they're
Yeah.
physically in the world. That is awesome.
And then you can retrieve them as well if you're not happy.
Yep. And then
Wow.
it's like, hey, you're missing.
See how that is very important to us, right? This
Yeah.
integration in the world.
Yeah, it really kind of, I guess it's all very immersive.
Yeah.
And there are little details that you wouldn't necessarily think you would care about. Cool.
We have some left. Let's make a wrench just
Where's it
for
going to go?
fun.
Can you pick it up?
Yeah.
It's just
And then
going
we'll
to
go
be...
recycle it.
And see how much it gives you back.
Yes, this is...
Yeah, I found a loophole. It gives back more than
we had this bug for a while.
We did. We just
Really?
fixed a bug we found like that, yeah.
Yeah,
I assume it's
great.
diminishing returns on all
Yes,
of the...
used to be
it's
bigger,
supposed to
yeah.
be.
There you go. Yeah,
It's
so
turned into
see-
some synthetic and mineral material.
Well, that's nice. This
Let's
is
see.
quite a swanky office.
I know. I was apparently someone super important on the space station. We should get another skill since we have a bunch of neuromods now.
We have a question here from Grifter of Ease. Guys, this game looks amazing. What are you drawing your inspiration from? Things like the recycler grenade and the neuromod. And I actually just want to expand that question out and ask you. You cited what did you cite before as a film for inspiration? Anyway, what are
The
your
Ring.
various sources of inspiration?
Yeah, we cited The Ring for just like the specific of the face that the victims do.
Sure.
I think other films, other movies we've been mentioning before are Moon, Sunshine, the movie Aliens. There's a bit of a Total Recall as well, probably.
Solaris.
Event Horizon. That fits. I mean, that fits right in. That's just
Yeah,
like all
some
those.
spooky
Yeah.
sci-fi movies.
And then as far as games go, we definitely, Dishonored. This is the kind of games that we've done since we exist. Really, our first game was Arx Fatalis, very inspired by the Looking Glass type of games. For the ones who remember Looking Glass, and Ultima Underworld, Thief, System Shock. So these are really our inspiration. And you were asking for specific to the looks like the recycler charge.
Mhm.
Those are made organically because we build our world like a giant canvas where we start to paint, and then little by little the fact that there's the sun over there means that now there's going to be some light here, etc., etc. So your image became more and more of a real image, right? And so it's the same with the game design in general, if you think of it this way. Once we had the idea that there is recycling in our game, then at some point when we brainstorm, somebody comes up with the idea of, hey, how about actually they also had this other system where it's actually like a charge that you use, and then of course we see it immediately as a weapon, and so that's how everything ties together. That's why it takes so long to make a game.
So this is the video that the past version of you left.
That's interesting, but it's kind of a hologram.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
It's not a 2D video; it's 3D.
Tough day, right?
And because of that, we can do some pretty cool things with it. Like,
Can break it, actually.
yeah, I'll break it at the end of this.
It's permanent. So the first thing you need to know.
So is this you or is this somebody else?
This
You.
is you.
It's an
That's
operator, a sort
Why
of
you?
backup of you and me. It knows what you've forgotten. We've been testing a new kind of neuromod based on the Typhon organisms, mapping their neural patterns onto ours. Problem is, when you uninstall a neuromod, it resets your memory back to the moment you first put it in.
So this is a
That's
room
why
that
you
we've
forget.
been in before.
There's
We
supposed
skipped
to
like
be a
it was in the
process
beginning,
that brings you
first
back
15
up to
minutes of the
speed
game.
between test runs.
But we can do. There's
But
cool little Easter eggs in here,
someone could
like
just skip
when
that
you were
part,
in the room,
turn
there was a
single day
whiteboard
into
in
your
the back of the
entire
room
life.
with a code on it that was erased. But since this video was made in the past, you see the code right there.
Oh wow.
so
You're
now
not
if you
going
go
to
back
like
to
what
that
I have
room,
to say
and you can
next.
actually use that code on the safe.
Is that a current warning or a recorded warning? I hope it's not a current warning, but I bet it is. Getting a call.
So they were about to tell me something important, but
Mm.
my brother Alex cut it off.
Jerk. That is so cool. Oh wow. Okay. That's how you get out of that room.
Sorry, Morgan. Alex cut us off from the Looking Glass servers. Time to improvise. I suggest you search Dr. Calvino's
Later in the
workshop
game, there are
for
other cool little
Holograms.
puzzles with
He
these
invented the Looking Glass
3D
technology.
videos.
You might find a to restore the server connections there. I'm looking for another way to help you in the meantime. Good luck.
So you don't know, what's been happening to you the past years you've been on the space station. But there are two characters talking to you: January, who has your voice, and then Alex, your brother, and they're both giving you conflicting ideas about what you should do.
Interesting.
So you're not sure who to trust initially.
A little bit of Mist.
Yeah.
Red Book, Blue Book, going way back. One
Oh
of the
yeah,
first games I
man,
ever played.
that was a good old reference there. How we doing on time? What else?
We were doing very well on time. We have actually. Oh, it's an hour stream. Okay, so never mind. We have about 13 minutes left. So if you guys
Okay.
have questions, shoot them here quick, and we'll do our best to answer. I will take a question now. We have a lot of hardware questions. I'll try to mitigate these because I'm sure it is not quite exactly where you guys are going to have it at the time of release. But we have a question here asking about Scorpio or PS4 Pro optimizations, maybe some increased frame rate or some 4K support. Is that something, or are you guys just trying to get to release at this point?
Well, we're definitely focused on release at this point. But yes, we are also thinking of we will do versions that are specific to Pro and the Scorpio. It's more like a resolution mostly.
Great. We've had a couple of questions about multiplayer.
Get those guys.
Uh,
Do they know I'm coming? I have
they
a turret.
could do.
I have a turret set up. I really want to get to me. I need to get out of the way.
Will it shoot you if you're in the way? There's aliens.
Yes.
behind you? Oh wow.
It's not trying to hit me, but if I can get caught in the crossfire.
So it just cares about like alien DNA. Is there ever any?
Yes, which is a great question because in fact, once you start having too many powers,
I was gonna ask that.
Yep.
then it recognizes you as a potential threat.
Sure. Yeah. When you first picked it up and talked about alien DNA, and I was thinking of the powers that you're getting from aliens and injecting them, I was like, oh, okay. We have a couple questions here about multiplayer. That I don't believe there is any. I think it's a single-player focus game.
That's right.
Great.
Absolutely.
Though maybe in the future, some Mimic Hunt DLC
Would be
mini
nice.
game.
Would be nice.
That would be super
Ooh,
cool.
look at this. Yeah, you don't need that ammo. Ammo's not hard to come by or anything. Oh man, I love the bolt on that. It's like a Luger with the action. Interesting. Very, very. I like the weapon design quite a bit so far.
Cool.
All right.
Let's go to the trauma center.
Chris Sars wants to know if there are any plans to add trauma or weapon degradation systems, or I mean, I guess the closest thing would be like, hey, your turret is getting messed up.
That is a really good question. I actually answered somebody else on Twitter about that today. We had that in the game initially, and the system just for a couple of reasons we decided to remove it temporarily. It was really, really hard and not quite ready yet, so we disabled it. But the team would really like to figure out a way to include it somehow down the road.
Very cool. We're going into the trauma center.
Yeah. So as you might expect, you can find lots of like restorative type goodies here. We have these like little cool. We have these things called operators on the space station, which are super helpful as long as the aliens don't get a hold of them and corrupt them. But there's medical operators, science operators, engineering operators. They're these like sort of like assistant robots. If I don't get killed, we'll see if I can find
We shoot on some pipes to show the.
Oh, the glue gun, yeah.
Putting out some flames. Oh, wow.
So that's a good way to-
man, so not only did... Interesting. So not only did it create more flames, but actually the flame is only coming out of the one closest to the source of the gas and then a little bit out of the second one.
Mm-hmm.
Attention to detail, guys.
That's right.
Take notes. Let's talk about quickly chaining powers together. Not that we really have any to show off, but that is something that I think is really cool that you will eventually unlock. And the one that you guys have shown is using the mimic ability and then the kinetic blast to like throw yourself up. What are some other cool combos?
Well, another combo that I've mentioned once because it was funny. It came to mind is there's a lift ability, and you can. So, for example, if you lift a turret, then the turret will start shooting at aliens that are maybe in a higher point, for example. Right, so it will work
Sure.
for you from a different perspective.
So that's me showing off leverage, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Like because I have leverage, I can like pick up heavier objects and throw normal objects like way further than you might otherwise.
Yeah, which leads to another example of combination, which is if you have remote manipulation, meaning that you can actually activate things from a distance, and you also have leverage like Ricardo has now, you really find yourself with the equivalent of a fizz gun from Half-Life, right? Because you grab things from a distance very easily and you throw them at people and do damage this way. So that's a really lethal combo.
Some of these little guys.
Requesting new operator.
What was that requiring of you to start this process, or was it just a you could do it regardless of scale? I thought I saw some kind of maybe not.
What are you talking about? Oh, I did get the leverage ability. Is that what you mean? Or are you talking
No,
about this?
I thought you needed to hack that thing that you were just using.
Oh,
sometimes.
yeah.
Sure.
Sometimes, but not here.
Pomegranate, all TranStar food is designed to fight illness and facilitate healthy living.
So is that a little drone that's going to follow you around and heal you if you get into trouble?
He'll hang out in the vicinity of the dispenser.
Cool.
So and there's a limit to them, right?
Oh, that's what that number was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's 2. It can only make 3 operators. So I mean, this thing could get destroyed. It could,
Yeah,
I
you
just
can
picked
get
up
its
a new
resource
grenade.
actually. I just destroy it just for fun.
So he's
You can still
temporarily
talk to him, though.
disabled. And all the systems in the world are connected. So I just threw an EMP grenade, and now this thing is temporarily shut down, and now it's back online.
Interesting.
Requesting new operator.
In the same vein, while we're talking about the Talos 1 kind of logistics and defense systems, and we saw turrets, and you did say turrets will eventually shoot at you if you have too much alien DNA kind of mingled into your own for powers. Can you talk to me about the enemy variety? Obviously, we've seen mimics, we've seen phantoms, we've seen that giant boss-looking thing from the demo. Are you going to run into any of the station security systems, like maybe security drones that you're going to have to fight?
Yes, at some point you'll have. There are. We have quite a large variety of aliens at this point, and like for example, you've seen the Phantom, but the Phantom have got the elite version of those, and they have their own powers which are different. So one of them cast electricity around.
Here's an example of somebody, if you want to talk about this, Raph.
Oh yeah, there's another character called a telepath, which actually mind controls humans, and so this is a mind controlled human by a telepath.
And so I assume he's hostile right now, but maybe if you track down the alien and killed it,
If you kill the alien, yeah, you would release him.
You would
from
free
his,
him.
yeah.
or we could just fight him as well.
Yeah, and it's yeah, exactly. It's interesting though because the people who are mind controlled, they know that they're not in control of themselves, right?
Right.
They'll even tell you, they're like, "You got to get out of here, run away! I can't stop myself." As they're approaching you,
Interesting.
and if they get close to you, their heads explode in this like huge psychic explosion.
Oh God.
And so so you sort of have to decide like, what do I do with this person? They don't want to kill me, but the telepath is forcing them to. So now you have to decide like, do I just take them out, or do I try to like sneak around them, or do I find a non-lethal way to take them to subdue them?
Sure.
Can you actually open this door?
You know, I don't have the high enough hacking. Let's see. I only have hacking 1 and no neuromods. See, there's let's see,
Where was
2 of the
this?
code numbers. Yeah.
Worm RL on Twitch would like to know about replayability. Obviously, I mean, it's kind of a world that is created with these emergent options kind of built in, and you can approach it one of, I would imagine, a ton of different ways. But let's talk about more conventional stuff like New Game Plus. Is that something you're looking to support at launch?
We don't have it at launch. Again, it's probably one of those things that we think an future release could fix that.
Cool. Very good. And obviously playing it on different difficulty settings would also allow you to.
Yeah. Plus, there are different endings. There's some branching at some point. There are things that are mutually exclusive. So there's definitely space for a good 2 playthroughs. And the game itself is actually pretty big. It's a long game.
Very cool. All right, guys, we are just about wrapping up here. We have about 4 minutes left. So again, I am checking Twitch. I am checking Twitter as well as YouTube.
Or you can
So-
throw the
Yeah, I'm gonna throw this.
So now you have leverage.
Yeah. So
You're gonna. Wow, that did a significant amount of damage. That was a ton. I mean, considering how many shotgun shells it took to take the guy out previously, that seems pretty ammo efficient.
Whoa, pretty explosive as well.
Did it? It didn't kill him though. Like it knocked him halfway down. Oh no! He just hit the canister.
Outplayed.
Oh, why?
Nice.
Why did somebody put explosive canisters?
I'd like to point out you were at 0 HP there for a hot second. Maybe just treading the line on point 1 somehow.
Yeah. My body didn't know I was dead for like a second.
Boy, if you had died about 2 minutes later, that would have been a perfect outro. But now we have to awkwardly reload.
Well, we need to defeat those guys because
That's our mission statement. Let's see if we can do it. All right, so we're.
I'm way back here.
I think you can make it.
Yeah, I can
we
make
were
it.
messing
Do
around
it.
with that medical drone forever. Speed run.
I'm gonna haul over there.
Oh, man, look at you go. And then speaking about EVA or space exploration, at some point.
Using the NASA term.
Oh yeah.
Extravehicular activity. Boom.
At some point, you can unlock a zero-G flight system from the fabrication, and kind of go out. And I would imagine that confers a whole bunch of different gameplay opportunities. It allows you to traverse this station in a new and interesting way. Ooh, nice.
Yeah, there's a
Play
lot of
around this
extra
time.
content outside.
Now,
Now, how long does that last?
about 4 or 5 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That was nice.
That was
A little bit
nice.
of collateral damage, but
yeah,
hey, that's
exactly.
fine. We'll take it.
There we go. Alright. Yeah, so a lot of fights like that are like that in Prey, where you sort of like, once you get the lay of the land, you can take in environmental stuff and the powers you have and resources and form a strategy, and like no two players are gonna kill those phantoms the same way that I did.
Detroll Bear says alt endings confirmed. Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, and I would imagine the save system would also kind of play into that. Like a lot of the times when I'm playing, a game like Dishonored or Hitman or something, I will save and then have a ton of
Try
trouble.
something else.
Right, have a ton of trouble with a room and then figure out just the most optimal way to go through it, and then it's no
Exactly.
longer a problem. But that's also kind of fun. The
Yeah.
repetition.
And then you end up with tons of resources. 'Cause
Sure.
you, like optimized your playthrough.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here.
Here's gonna be our
With
end.
Prey. Oh, is this? We're gonna. Wow, that was beautiful. That was very nice. Ricardo and Raphael from Arkane, thank you so much for showing off Prey.
Thank you.
When can we expect to see more of Prey, and when can people get their hands on it?
May 5th this year.
May 5th. All right. It seems like a long time away, and it is to wait for an awesome game like this, but it's just right around the corner. So for all things Prey, including previews, reviews, and guide content after the game comes out, you're already in the right place here at IGN.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye.